So far, we have discussed about the simple data types in the first half of this course. Then we started with the discussion on compound data types. As I mentioned, there are four compound data types in Python: list, set, tuples, and dictionary. We concluded the discussion on sets in the last class. Today, we will be discussing about set, another compound data type. Now, just to give you an overview of the list, it is basically an ordered collection of items where duplication of elements is allowed, and in order to declare a list, we need to write the items as comma separated values inside a third bracket or square braces. For example, this was a list. Now, we also discussed that lists are mutable, which means we can actually change the items that are stored in an existing list. For example, in this marks list, if I want to change the value of this 45 into 56, I can simply write this statement, which will be replacing this 45 or the item in the fourth location, which is this, by 56. And also we have discussed that list can store any type of element. That is, a list can store a string, it can store an integer, it can store a decimal value, it can store a list as well, as we have seen, which are called nested list. In which case, an item in the list is also a list. That is possible in list. That is, in short, any type of element can be an item in the list. Now, in comparison, if we define set, it is basically an unordered collection of items as compared to list, which was ordered. Sets are unordered, which does not allow you to have duplicate elements, and all the items should be of type immutable, right? So in comparison, list was set of basically ordered collection. In list, duplicate items are allowed, but in set, duplicate items are not allowed. In list, the element can be of any type, but in set, the type of the element should be of any of the immutable data types. None of the mutable data types can be an item in a set. So again, similar to list, a set can have any number of items of different immutable data type. Note that earlier list can also have any number of items of any data type, but here there is a restriction for set, that is, mutable items cannot be there in a set. And but sets are mutable, that is, an item which is there inside a set can be actually modified, can be actually removed. A new item can also be added to an existing set. Here I would like to highlight here that although sets are mutable, all the items should be immutable. Again, I am repeating, although sets are mutable, that is, we can actually change, that is, add or modify or remove an items from a existing set, but the individual should not be of type mutable. They should be immutable data types like integer, float, tuple, string, etc. So a set cannot contain a list, a set cannot contain a set, or a set cannot contain a dictionary, because lists, sets, and dictionaries are mutable data types. And as you can guess from the name, the mathematical set operations like union, intersection, or symmetric difference, simple difference can also be applied on the objects of this set data type. Now, there are these 5 different types of operations that we can apply on a set: creating a set, modifying an existing set, traversal of all the items in a set, searching for an item in a set, and removing items from a set. First of all, let's start with how to create a set. In order to create a set, we need to place all the individual items, note that immutable items, inside a second bracket or curly brace. For example, this is an example of a set where the individual items are of type integer. Similarly, we can have a set with strings where the individual items are string. For example, Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, and Ellen. Now let's look at the two sets. Now if I execute this, you can see the prime set, which is the name of the set, is containing 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13 as it is being printed here. This is again another set where I am putting a set of strings, specifically Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, and Ellen. Now if I execute this, whenever I'll be printing this set, I'll be looking at, I'll be getting the result in a separate way or a different in a different way than it was inserted in the set. As you can see, the items were given in this order: A, B, C, D, E. That is Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, and Ellen. But when I am printing it, you can see the output is B, C, A, E, D, which is different from the way they are put inside this set. But this is not the case when the items are integers. So for 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13, you can see they are exactly in the same order in which they are actually defined. Now the reason for this is basically these items or this integer types are already defined in Python. As I have discussed briefly with the introduction of the function id, I have shown you that using id we can actually get the corresponding reference of a list of an item, of an object, and from 0 to 255 integers, they are by default defined by the Python. That's why this 2, 3, 5, all these items are already defined in Python. They're just being referenced here. But here, their runtime on the fly, they are being allocated or they are being created. So that is because that is the reason because of which you can see that they are actually in the different way. They are getting printed in a different way than they are put inside this set. Okay. Now, why exactly in this order? That is because set is formally there. The data structure that is working behind that is called a hash table. In hash table, we can actually look up an item in a unit time. That is, in a list, we have seen that we can, in order to access, for an item, we need to go through the entire list one after the other. But using a hash table, we can actually directly access an individual item, due to which they are actually in this manner. So I will be coming back briefly on why they are actually different. If I again access, if I if you try this, if you try running this code at your end, you might be getting a different output. They might not be the same. Also, if I execute this at different time in the same machine that I'm using, I might be getting different outputs, because as I said, on the fly they are being allocated in the memory. That's why they are being hashed. Formally, that is called hash. Basically, they are being hashed to different locations. That's why they are being traversed in a different way based on their location in the virtual memory. Now, please don't, I mean, if you are not understanding what I am saying, please don't worry. These are the nitty-gritty details. You don't have to, I mean, know all this right now. You will be understanding later on. Also, here, in this case, all the items are integers. Here, all the items are strings. But similar to list, a set can also contain mixed type of data as well. Like here, in this case, this is a decimal value, a floating value. This is a string, and this is a tuple. Again, note that although this mixed data type, mixed variables are allowed inside a set, items should be of any of the mutable data types. That is, they should not be, these individual items should not be either set or dictionary or or a set itself, right? But this is called tuple. We will be discussing that in the next class. Now let's look at some ways of creating, some other ways of creating a set. We can actually make a set by using the Python built-in function set. So this is a set of numbers. I'm providing a set of numbers here. Note that I'm writing set. There are two brackets, and inside, I mean, inside the innermost bracket, I'm putting this individual values that I want to insert. Similarly, when I'm initializing this set with strings, I'm again having this double brackets, and in the innermost bracket, I have put this individual items that I want to insert in the set. Now let's just look at them. You can see we are getting the same output. We can do the same thing for this example as well, with this example as well. So names underscore set equals to set. So this is the first one and this is the second one, inside which I am providing this. Sorry, not primes, it's names set. As you can see, in this case, they are actually providing the same output because they are being mapped into the same location. Or formally, they are being hashed. Now, let's try something different. Let's try something that is not allowed, as I am saying. If I write this, if I just put only one bracket, what would happen? As you can see, it is giving me a type error, and the type error is, it is saying that this set function is expecting only one parameter. It is expecting only one parameter or one argument. So here the single argument is basically a tuple. But here what I am doing is I am providing 6 arguments or 6 parameters here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as they are comma separated. But note that here the single, I mean, there is only one parameter here, which is this. This is called a tuple. So I am providing a tuple as the only argument in this set function. Okay. Now let's try to do something else. Let's make it, say, let's make it a list. In this case, the only argument was of type tuple. In this case, the type, the argument type is basically a list. This is also allowed. If I execute this, you can see I am getting this output. Okay. So of course, if you want to define like a list, say L equals to this, and then if you provide this, this is also a valid. Show you just to get a different output. As you can see, this is giving this is providing me with the corresponding output, or this is basically creating this single set containing all these list items. Okay, but again, we should not be using a single bracket. Like in this case, this is this is the argument, which is basically list, which is fine, but we should not be writing something like, as I have written earlier, we should not be writing something like this. This would be providing us with the type error. Okay. So we can of course create a set from a list, as I have shown you here. Right? What I'm doing is, here I'm using the set function, and as an argument, as the only argument, I'm providing a list. Using this, we can create a set from the items in a list. Okay. Now let's look at this example. Here, the inner list or the argument list is containing 7, 13, 3, 23, 11, then 7, which is a duplicate, then again 5, not again, but 5, then 3, again 3, then again 7, and then 17. Now, while defining set, I have made one statement that set does not allow duplicates. Now so here, as an argument to this set function, I am providing a list containing duplicate items. Now let's see what this will be result. So this is the same list: 7, 13, 3, 23, 11, 7, 5, 3, 7, 17. Now if I execute this, so basically this will be, given this list, it will be creating the set, but all the duplicate items will be reduced, or basically all the duplicate items will be present in this set only once. So if I execute, you can see, although there are 3 sevens, only 1 7 is there in this set. Although there are 2 3s here, there is only 1 3 in this set. That is what I meant by the statement that set does not allow duplicate items. So even if you provide any data type, the variable of any data type containing duplicates, like I have provided here in a list, while you are creating the set, the duplicate items will be removed. Not actually removed. So basically duplicate items will be presenting in the set only once. Now let's look at this example where I am giving a list as an item. Note that while defining set, I have stated that a set should not be cannot contain any of the mutable data types. And we know from the last couple of classes, we know that list is a mutable data type. So this is actually an invalid statement. So if I execute this, you can see it is providing me with a type error. And the error is saying list is an unhashable type. As I was saying, these items are hashed into the virtual memory, but list, which is this, is basically an unhashable type, which cannot be hashed to some particular location. So that's why this is an invalid statement, and we will be ending up with a type error. So yes, question.
Sir, in the previous example, you take a list inside the set.
Right.
So what is the difference here?
Oh, very good question. So here, so let's keep both of them in the same cell. And here, okay, let's look at the second statement first. This set. Here, what I am doing is, as in the beginning, I said that to define a set, all the items should be comma separated and they should be inside the second bracket or curly brace, right? Here, what I am doing is I am providing. So basically, this is, I mean, if I do not provide anything, this is basically a set. This is not actually a set. This is a dictionary, but I mean, anything. I mean, if I provide anything here, I mean, any valid identifier, this will be considered as a set. Eventually, I am providing one, two, and a list. Now, note that lists are mutable. That's why, as an item, a list cannot be present in a set. So that's why this is giving me an error. Now coming back to the first example. Here, what I am doing is this set is a function. The only restriction of this set function is this will be taking only one parameter. And that parameter can also be a mutable data type as well. As there is, I mean, the way items are stored are kind of similar between lists and sets. If I provide a list here, they can be easily converted into a set. And this function is responsible for doing that. So again, just to minimize the statement or to make it more formal, here I am defining a list, and I am providing that list as the only parameter of this set function. Now this set function is converting this list into a set. Okay. So note that this list is not actually an item in this set. The items in this set is basically these integers. But here, what is happening is I am providing a list as an item. This is the difference. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next operation on set is how to modify a set. So as we started our discussion on defining the set, we stated that sets are mutable. That is, the values, I mean, given an existing set, we can kind of add new items in it or we can remove new items in it. So, but we also stated that sets are unordered. That is, we cannot use the indexing or the indexing value to access individual items, which was actually allowed for list, because lists are ordered. Now let's look at this example of a list containing three names or three strings. Name L is the name of the list. It is containing three strings: Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Execute this, this will be printing the whole list. If I execute this, this will be printing Alice. We know that. But can we do something similar here? The answer is no. Why? Because this statement is not defined for a set. As this is a set, this statement is not defined. As sets are unordered, indexing has no meaning. Let's look at the corresponding example and what error we would be seeing. So this will, okay. right? This is printing the entire set. Now, what if I try to access, say, the 0th item? So note that when I am defining the set, the 0th item was Alice. When the set is being defined, or when the set is already defined, the 0th item here is Bob. But there is no 0th item as such in a set. That's why if I execute this, we will be getting a, and the type error will be specifying that set objects does not support indexing. And the reason is because it is basically unhashable. Basically, it is hashable. That's why using index, we cannot actually locate the individual items. Reason is they're hashed. Using some hashing technique, they are hashed into particular memory location in the virtual memory, and they are not actually defined. As I said, one time, if I execute the same statement, the Bob might be hashed into a location different from the location if you execute at your end in your machine. Okay. So this will be this statement will be providing us with an error, particularly a type error, saying that set object does not support indexing. Now, as I said, sets are mutable. That means we can actually add items in an existing set. There are couple of ways of doing that. First is by using a function called add. Given a single element as the parameter, if we invoke this add function using a set, the item or the element will be added to the set. Now let's look at this. So this was the set. So the set is containing Alice, Bob, Charlie, and Alice. Now if I call this name underscore set dot add, if I call this add with, say, David, and if I print name set, as you can see, David has been added here. Basically, David has been added into the set. Where David is added into the set is basically undefined. As I said, why? Because indexing is not allowed in a set because they are hashed. So again, there is no meaning of indexing here. Now, I can also add, say, Alice, although Alice is already there, right? So let's look at what would happen if I add an item which is already there. We know that set does not allow duplicates, so that's why if I add Alice once again, it will be just remaining unchanged. As you can see, earlier the set was containing David, Bob, Charlie, Alice. After again adding Alice, it is remaining the same. Now, what if I want to add multiple elements at the same time? Let's try that. Now, what if I want to add, say, name? So name underscore s was this. So what if I want to add, say, ln together with Fred? This will be providing us with an error. This is a type error that will be saying that this add function will be considering only one argument, but here I am providing two. Now, then how shall we be proceeding with adding multiple items in a set. So it is not possible using add. So can we do something more? Yes, there is actually another function that is called update. Using update, we can add multiple elements. So how will I be doing that? So again, name underscore s, or the set is containing Alice, Bob, Charlie, and David. Note that it has been changed. Earlier it was, I mean, the way it was being printed. Now if I print it like this, it is different. So this is another thing that I want you to want your attention to draw. When I am executing just this, I mean, just executing the name of the identifier, it is being printed in a way. Then when I'm using the print function. So basically, this is the correct output. This is basically being evaluated by this Jupyter notebook, but this is the correct way of printing it. Again, note that there is no way of, I mean, there is no meaning of indexing in a set. Now, as I said, how to in a set, and the solution is using the update function. So what I'll be doing is name underscore s dot update. I'll be providing the multiple items Helen and Fred. Now note that update function, similar to add, is also will also take only one argument, but here I am providing two arguments. So that's why if I execute this, oh, in fact, this actually worked, but this is actually different than what we expected. We expected to add them as Ellen, as Fred, but here what this has done is basically it had considered ELLENFRED as separate items. Charlie and David. After executing this, it had, added capital E once, of course once, it is does not allow duplicates. So once, L, then small e, small n, then capital F, small r, small e is already there, and small d. Now, in order to add this exactly like Ellen and Fred as two different strings, what we need to do is we need to provide, or we need to keep them in a, basically in a as a single argument in update. So update, in case we execute like this, update, it is a valid statement, but it is not the expected output that we are expecting, that we want this statement to do. To do that, basically we need to provide this. Now if I execute this, and then if I execute this, you can see now Ellen and Fred has been added. Note that this F, R, N, E, capital E, L and D are added before, when it is not, it is containing this, right? So let's just keep it that way so that you can, looking at this notebook, you will be able to recall what we have done. So let's just keep it like this. Okay. So this is actually responsible for adding these individual items. No, let's just re-execute this so that you can actually understand. Then I should be executing this. this, this, and after that this, and after that this. So you can see the name is was containing David, Bob, Charlie, and Alice. After executing this statement, it has become Bob. So note that David earlier was in the, I mean, before Bob, but after executing this statement, Bob has come before, I mean, before everything else in this set. And after this, so F, R, E, D, capital E, small n, and small l has been added. When we provided it inside a bracket, inside the first bracket as a tuple, is actually working in the same way as expected. So similarly, list can also be added, or the items in the list can also be added inside a set. So let's just copy this. So here numbers, the set is containing 1, 2, 3. Now this statement is adding basically a set or the items in the set and the items in a list. And if I execute this, you can see 1, 2, 3 was existing, 4, 5 I have added from this list. 1, 6, 8, 1 was already there, 6 has been added and 8 has been added. Now this is another contrasting thing. Although lists are not allowed inside as an item inside a set, but using a set we can actually initialize or we can actually add the items in a list in an existing set, or we can add the items in a set inside another existing set. Okay, so the next operation is iterating through a list. So let's consider we have a list and we want to iterate or we want to access all the items in a list. It is exactly in the same way in a list. So the set traversal or iterating through a set is exactly similar to how we have iterated a list. So basically using this membership operator in, we can actually access the individual items in a set. But note that the application of set is such that we should not be doing this. If we really want to access all the items in a sequence data type, we should not be using set. Instead, using list. Because for list, it is actually makes more sense to access all the items in a list. So that's why iterating through a set is something that we will be hardly doing, or in most cases we will never be doing this. The most important operation in a set is searching. So given a set, say 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, if I want to search for an item, we can simply search using this membership operator. Right? This is again similar to the way we can search or we can access items in a list, but there is a difference. The time taken to search in a set is significantly smaller than the search in a list. Why? Because as I said, a list will be stored in the virtual memory. The items in the list will be stored in the virtual memory one after the other. That's why the indexing is possible. That is, in the 0th index, the first item, in the 1th index, the second item, and so on. But for set, it is basically the individual items are being hashed. So by hashed, I mean that there will be a function, say f, and the individual location of individual item say I1 will be placed into memory location say M1 based on that F. So whenever I'll be adding I1 inside the memory, I will be writing F of I1, it will be providing me with M1, and I'll be placing F I1 in M1. Similarly, for next item I2, I'll be again using the same hashing function F, and it will be providing me with another memory location M2, and I'll be placing I2 in M2, right? And while searching, what it will be doing is it will be basically just using the hash function, the same hash function. So basically, it will be doing, given the item say J that you want to search, it will be looking at the corresponding location in which J is stored by the F function. So basically, it will be doing a reverse hash function. Basically, F of J, it will be looking at the mjth location and it will be seeing that it is present. So that's why it will be returning true or false. Okay, so that's why searching in a list is the most important operation. Searching in a set is the most important operation. Depending on your need, if you really want to search for an item in a sequence data type, you should be using set. And if if your need is to access all the items, you should be using lists. Now let's look at this example. Let's just copy this code again to save some time. What I am doing here is I have defined a set, and then I am taking one integer as input from the user and checking whether the integer input is actually present in this set or not. Now after executing this, if I do this, say if I give something say 10, as you can see, it is providing that number is not present in this set. If I give something like say 13, as you can see, it is giving me that the number is present in this set. The difference between this and doing the same thing using list is in list there will be a linear search. If the searching item is 13, it will be searching, it will be basically comparing 13 with 2, 13 with 3, 13 with 5, 13 with 7, 13 with 9, 13 with 11, finally 13 with 13. As there is a match, it will be returning that it is present. But for set, it will be directly using that hash function to locate the location in which it is present. And if it is not present, it will be just returning, this will be false. And we can simply understand that the searching item is not present. So as I said, this is the most important operation in a set. So the final operations in a set is removing items from a set. Again, there are a couple of ways of removing existing items from a set. First is by using discard function. So by using the discard function, we can remove items. We can remove existing items from a set. Note my word. We can remove existing items. So let's say we have again this set. So again, these are containing some, kind of erroneous values, but we can kind of ignore them for the time being. Now, what if I want to remove, say, Charlie? What I need to do is I need to call this discard function with the parameter that I want to remove. What it will be doing is it will be basically removing the item from the set. As you can see, Charlie has been removed. Another way is by using the remove function. Again, if I want to remove, say, as I have provided in the example, if I want to delete, say, Bob, note that, I mean, I should be providing the items in the same manner as it is there. So that's why small b ob and capital B ob are two different items. This will be removing this Bob from the set. Now, obviously, you might be wondering, well, this and this is doing the same thing. Then why they are actually there? I mean, one is sufficient. I should say that is, I mean, there are differences between discard and remove actually works. Remove actually works when the item, I mean, is already there. In case the item is not there, it will be providing us with an error. So let's say we have this. Now if I call this remove function with something, say, Charlie, it will be providing us with a key error. That is, in case it is absent, it will be providing us with an error. That is important, which is not the case for discard. So if I do the same thing with discard, as you can see, there is no error, but it is, of course, it is not changing the, sorry, it is not changing the set as well. Earlier the set was like this, Fred, FR and so on is remaining the same. So discard should be, I mean, should be applied when there is a chance that the item that you want to remove is not present in the set. In that case, if you apply remove, it will be providing us with a key error. As shown in this example, discard will be, I mean, given this set, if I apply this discard function, it will be removing this 4. If I again apply this remove function, it will be removing this 3 as this 6. The resulting set will be 2, 3, 5 and 7. And if I want to say delete, say, this 2, I can actually apply this discard 2. It is okay. But after removing this 2, if I again apply this remove function, it will be a key error, as I have shown you here in this example. Okay. So, of course, by the name, as you can guess, the set, the mathematical set operations can also be applied in the sets. We can apply the union, we can apply the intersection, difference as well in two different sets. Let's say we have two sets, say A and B, containing these integers. In order to perform an union between two sets, this is called a pipe operator. There is another way of doing the same thing using the union function. Note that these are two different ways of doing the same thing. This is using an operator, this is using a function or a method. So let's just try to do that. So if I write this, it will be providing us with the set by unioning, basically the union of these two sets. And this is equivalent to writing basically this statement. Here, note that union is taking only one parameter, which is a set, and it is being invoked by another set. So A dot union as parameter B. As you can see, it is providing us with this output. If I do the same thing with, say, invoking or calling the union function with B and providing A as a parameter, it will be providing us with the same output. Similarly, there is this intersection function or intersection operation, which again can be done in two ways, by using this ampersand operator or using this intersection method. or intersection function. To do a difference, we can simply use this minus operator, using which we can get the difference between two sets, and also there is this difference function which is similar. Now note that a minus b is equivalent to a dot difference b, and b minus a is equivalent to b dot difference a. Now let's try that. So print a, print b. So these are the two sets, right? Now if I do say a minus b, we are getting this, and if I do b minus a, we get this. Now this is equivalent to print a dot difference b, which is same, and this is basically equivalent to or analogous to b dot difference a. Okay, and the symmetric difference can be applied using this XOR operator, or the one, I mean, which I think you will find together with the with your keyboard 6 button, or equivalently there is another function called symmetric difference. So again, if a and b is this, let's try to do that. Print a XOR b, this is called the XOR operator. As you can see this, similarly, this is the corresponding function is symmetric difference, then we should be providing b. Now let's try to, I mean, do the other way around, like print b XOR a. As we know, this will be the same, similar to if I do the same thing using the symmetric difference function, using this b dot, I mean using the invoking set as b and the parameter as a, then also it will be providing the same output. But this is not the case, as we know from our knowledge about sets in mathematics. So there are some other functions as well, some built-in set functions like all, which returns true if all elements in the sets are true. Basically all the statements should be of Boolean type. Any, there is another function called any, returns true if any of the element is true, and so on. So basically you can understand the use from their name. Len will be returning the length similar to list. Max will be returning the largest element. Min will be returning the smallest element. Now pop will be returning an arbitrary element, and it will be also being removed. Now sorted, as I stated, sort was a list function, but sorted can also be applied in any of the sequence data type. Now sorted will be returning a new sorted, basically list from the element in the set. Note that the set will be converted into a list before being returned, and the sum function will be returning the sum of all the elements in the set. Now another thing that I want to highlight regarding this set operations here, note that none of these operations, either this operator or this function, is actually changing the elements, changing the individual sets. They are remaining the same. Now in order to, I mean, if you want to store the result somewhere, you can simply write c equals to a minus b or something similar operation that you want to perform, and then you can actually have this c. You can actually, I mean, use this c to get the difference between these two sets. Here, this clear and pop are the only operations which actually changes the invoking set. Otherwise, all the other operations will be keeping the set as it is. Why we should be using sets over list. So the main advantage is basically searching. If I mean, of course, as I said, we can do this. This will be returning true. This will also be returning true. But for list, it will be doing a linear search. Here in this list, there are only seven items. That's why searching for an item is, I mean, not that much time consuming. But consider a list containing, say, thousands or millions of items. In that case, if you only, I mean, if the only operation that you want to perform is search, you should not be using set. You should not be using list. You should be converting it into a set, and then it would be pretty fast. It would be significantly fast because set is actually use a technique called hashing. Again, linear search is for list and hash table lookup is for set. This is the advantage of set over lists. That's it for set. This is the, I mean, this is the everything that I planned on discussing in today's class. Thank you. Is there any question?
Please say one more time the symmetric difference.
The symmetric difference. The symmetric difference, symmetric difference. So the symmetric difference is this. So if the set is, say, so basically 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So basically the symmetric difference in this case will be what? Tell me.
The common elements.
The common elements. So basically 0, 1, 2, 7, 8, 9. So basically the symmetric difference will be the common elements. Are you sure? Symmetric difference will be the basic.
It removes the common elements from the.
Removes the common element, correct. So it removes the items in this intersection, right? So that's exactly what is happening here. Print A. Just have like this. Now, if I apply this, so the common element is basically 3, 4, 5, right? Now, using this symmetric difference, we can actually remove these common elements and we can get only the items that are unique to the individual sets. There are two ways, as I have said. One is using this XOR operator and another is using this symmetric difference function, right? So all these four operations can be either can be either executed using some operator or using some function. For union, there is this pipe, corresponding function is union. Intersection is ampersand, corresponding function is intersection. For, say, difference, minus is the operator, difference is the function. For, I mean, if you want to have the symmetric difference between two sets, XOR is the operator and symmetric difference is the function. Okay? I mean, I didn't get which part was confusing to you. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Now it's
Okay. So as I said, there are two ways. Either using an operator or using a function.